Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to our 2024 AAHNA Virtual Convening. It's really a pleasure to see you all here, to see such a great response to our invitation. We had over 85 people register for the event, and so we're expecting people to come in and out. It's a long program, and so we're expecting people to come in and out throughout the afternoon, and we'd encourage you to sort of stay with us. We have a lot going on today, and we're grateful for your presence here today. Before we get started, I do have a disclosure to make. So this convening was funded through a PCORI Engagement Award. And so the views, statements, and opinions presented in this convening are solely the responsibility of the presenters and do not necessarily represent the views of the PCORI Institute, its Board of Governors, or the Methodology Committee. So just needed to put that out there. We're very grateful to PCORI for the funding of this work, and you're going to hear a little bit about it as we go on with the program. So my name is Dr. Nadia Abuelezam. I am an epidemiologist and currently an associate professor at Boston College Cannell School of Nursing, and I'm the project lead for this PCORI Engagement Award. And it's really my pleasure to invite you and to have you here today with us. Ahlan wa sahlan. And we're really excited to be in community with one another. It's not very often that we have the opportunity to do this as a community of Arab and MENA scholars, patients, community members. We're really, really excited to have you here. I'll also introduce our project manager for AAHNA, Siwar Abu Hala, and she's here as well. And she will be the one that you likely will communicate with in the chat, or if you have any issues, please feel free to reach out to her as well. We're going to be doing our best to manage the chat, the question and answer throughout. So before we begin, we'd like to just say that we want to acknowledge that we are all not okay at this particular time. Gaza is at the forefront of all of our minds, as it should be, and we know that it's difficult to be here today with that in the backdrop. And so maybe we can just take a moment to center ourselves in this moment, acknowledging the tragedy, the injustice, the inhumanity that's happening in Gaza, and try to center ourselves in this moment. So I'm just going to ask folks if they're comfortable to just sort of sit for a moment of silence. I do also want to acknowledge that we can dedicate our time, our energy, and our efforts today to those suffering in our communities, whether that's in Gaza or in other places here in the United States or around the world. And that for many of us, and myself included, being in community can really help heal us, can really help us feel connected and closer to home for many of us when home is so far away. So while I recognize this is a very difficult time for all of us, I want to also invite us into this space to be fully present with our community and to try to use our time and energy towards positive efforts at this moment. Nothing I can say is enough, and I recognize that, but we do want to make sure that we recognize that this is really at the forefront of all of our minds at this time. We, as I mentioned, do have quite a full agenda today, and we want to be mindful of our time as we go through. So Siwar will also be our timekeeper and will try to keep us on time. We have a number of moving pieces in terms of people coming in for different panels and talks, and so we do want to be mindful of the time. We have 2 5-minute breaks filtered in, but again, because this is a virtual convening, please feel free to turn off your video, do what you need to do in the moment as well. I am just going to give a brief introduction to our day. We're going to be joined by Dr. Al-Sayed, who will be presenting a keynote speech, and he will actually be talking about the relationship between what is happening in Gaza and the health of Arab populations here in the United States now. We'll then go on to a presentation on AAHNA and what we've been able to accomplish through our engagement award. We'll invite some of our steering group members, including patient and community representatives, to join a panel to answer your questions. And then we'll also have a group of authors from the National Academy of Medicine who'll be making a presentation and requesting feedback on their presentation later in the day. I'll then try to wrap up the day with some discussion points, some takeaways, and next steps. And as always, throughout, we welcome your feedback. We welcome comments in the chat. We do ask that you stay muted if possible throughout, just to make sure that folks can hear the person who's speaking. And as always, please remain respectful of those who are speaking, those who are with us here together today. And if you do have any questions, there are multiple ways to ask questions throughout the day. One way is to use the chat function. Another way is to use your raise hand function, and that can be found in the reactions on Zoom. So if you go down to the bottom of your screen, you should be able to find your reactions and you can raise your hand. We ask that you raise your hand during the question and answer portion of the segment. And then there's also a question and answer box that we will be using for the keynote and for the panel. So there are many ways for you to interact with us. We hope that you'll use them. And as you've probably noted, the meeting is being recorded, and we do plan to provide access to the recordings via our website. Although I will note that the keynote will not be recorded at the request of the speaker. So just keep that in mind. I will mention at the start that we do have a number of stipends available to community members and patients who might be having difficulty joining today, whether it's because they have to take time off of work or any other difficulties they may be having. It's a $50 gift card that can be used at a variety of different locations. And those gift cards can be received once you fill out a form that Siwar will be pasting into the chat right now. So if you're a community member or a patient who might benefit from a stipend at this moment, please feel free to fill out that form, and we'll be in touch with you shortly about that. And again, we thank PCORI for the funds that will allow us to do that. I will also say that as part of AAHNA, we do have a website that we'd like to draw your attention to. The website has information on our steering group, has information about how you can contact us, and as you'll learn about later today, it will also have a link to our engagement guide. We are in the process of translating our engagement guide into Arabic. One of our key goals of this project is actually to make all materials accessible across multiple languages, and that includes today's convening. So our goals for today's convening are actually to translate it into Arabic. And so for those who may only speak Arabic or know others who might benefit from it who speak Arabic, we will have a transcription available in Arabic shortly after the meeting. And I just want to recognize the immense amount of sacrifice and time you all are making to be with us today. Again, we're a big mix of folks based on the people who registered. We have folks who are in academia, we have folks who are from community health organizations, we have folks who are from legal organizations, we have funders on the call, and we also have a number of patient and community members on the call. And so we're a diverse group with many different sort of backgrounds and needs. And I think that that's a really positive part of our time together today. We hope to learn from each other and to grow with each other at this time. Siwar, have I forgotten anything before we move on?
Nope, I think those are the major points.
Okay, wonderful. So a little bit about AAHNA, and I will give a little bit of a longer introduction at a later point. But AAHNA was really developed as an idea to find ways to better engage Arab and MENA patients in patient-centered health research. So as an epidemiologist and someone who's been working in this field for a number of years, I do know the difficulty of accessing full and high quality data sources that represent Arab and MENA populations. And one of the barriers to this, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is really some of our populations are hesitant to participate in health research, and that's very understandable given sort of the history of our communities in the United States, the discrimination, racism, Islamophobia that many folks face. And so this was really an effort to try to better understand the reasons for participation or not participation in health research, and the ways that we can improve that. And in referencing my early experience in Arab American health, I'm really very pleased to welcome our keynote speaker today. Dr. El Sayed is someone I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years. He is sort of a pioneer in this field of Arab and MENA health, and we're very fortunate to have him with us today. I'm going to just read a brief introduction. Dr. El Sayed is a physician, epidemiologist, educator, and county health commissioner. He hosts Crooked Media's award-winning America Dissected podcast, which attracts tens of thousands of weekly listeners. And he also has over 100 peer-reviewed publications, has earned over 3,000 citations, and holds academic appointments at the intersection between public health, public policy, and politics at the University of Michigan Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, the FXB Center for Health and Human Rights at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Wayne State University, and American University. He is a former health director for the city of Detroit, a candidate for governor of Michigan in 2018, and a commentator at CNN. And he's a proud member of the National Writers Union, AFT Locals 477 and 6244, SEIU Local 500, and the AAUP. And we're very, very grateful and fortunate to have you here with us today. I will